I'm done with you. You were stealing $1,500 every month from the money I was giving you, weren't you? When I got home from work, my husband John suddenly started yelling at me. I was confused and didn't understand what was going on. When John, his face turning red, kept going off, I just got a call from Kevin. He said you didn't give them any money as a baby gift, and you didn't even send them the money I promised to support them every month. Have you been misusing the money I gave you all this time? Of course, I have been sending money to my son and his wife every month, and just today I gave them a sum of money as a baby gift. Why would they say they hadn't received anything? I did give it to them. Don't lie. No matter how much I denied it, John wouldn't listen to me. Listen, I'm not giving you any more money for living expenses, but if you bring the gift money to Kevin properly, I'll forgive you. If not, I'll divorce you. Fine, let's divorce then. Ignoring John's surprise, I left the house. Up until now, I had been desperately working part-time to support my struggling family finances. Despite managing both living expenses and sending money to my son and his wife, being treated like a thief was more than I could bear. I couldn't do it anymore with John, who'd just blamed without listening, and I decided to cut ties with my son and his wife, who easily lied and made me out to be the villain. With that decision, I left our home. My name is Mary. I'm 52 years old. I work part-time at a grocery store. I got married at the age of 22 and had a child right away. John works in sales at a beverage company and is often home late, so all the housework and child care were my responsibilities. While my friends around me were enjoying their free time, all I had to do was raise my child and do housework. There were days when I felt beaten down. However, I desperately worked hard to do housework and raise my child because I chose this path for myself. My son Kevin moved out when he went to college out of state. Although he found a job in state, he started living on his own, which allowed me some leisure time. While I was living such a life, Kevin told me he had a girlfriend he wanted to marry. He's that mature now. I was deeply emotional and arranged to meet them at our home. On the day of the meeting, the woman he brought home was named Ava. She was very cheerful and laughed a lot. Kevin was smiling the whole time too. I was really happy that Kevin seemed to have found a wonderful partner. Both John and I wholeheartedly congratulated Kevin on his getting married, and things moved quickly. They got engaged and married 6 months after their marriage. John and I were relaxing at home one weekend when our son and his wife came to visit. Dad, I have a favor to ask. Could I ask you to send me some money every month? What's happening all of a sudden? The couple looked embarrassed as they spoke, and both John and I were taken aback. The thing is, we're thinking of starting infertility treatments, but we don't have enough money. Infertility treatments? Is that necessary? A lot of couples do it these days. We're hoping to have kids soon. I could understand how they felt, but they had been married for only 6 months. It seemed a bit too soon. People have children in their mid-30s nowadays, and Ava is only 30, so I don't think there's any need to worry so much. What if we can't have kids later? You had a kid early, so you can't understand how I feel to be 30 years old with no kids yet. Ava suddenly raised her voice loudly, surprising us because we didn't expect to be yelled at. Kevin also spoke up at Ava's words. Mom, she's right. You don't understand Ava's feelings at all. We're anxious. That's why we want to start fertility treatments as soon as possible. Dad, you understand, right? You want to see your grandchildren soon, don't you? I suppose so. All right, we'll support you as much as we can. Thank you. John agreed with the words of Kevin. If John was fine with it, it wasn't a matter of me. Just as I was thinking this, John said something shocking. Then give Kevin $1,500 from our living expenses every month. What, from the living expenses? That's impossible. John gave me $1,000 a month from that. I had to pay the mortgage, John's car loan, and our living expenses. There's no way we could afford an additional $1,500 for their support. However, John glared at me sharply. What? Haven't you been saving any surplus from the living expenses? Don't tell me you've used it all up. That's not it, but there's no way we can afford it with the loan repayments. No surplus. Managing our finances is your job. You're really useless. It's all your wasteful spending that's making us short on money. I won't pay any more than this. John wouldn't listen at all and went back to his room. I couldn't believe it. It was hard to save even $1,000 a month. And then we had to send money from our savings. But once John started talking, he didn't listen to anyone at all. I was stunned, but my son and his wife glanced at me and stood up. Then, Mom, please take care of it, they said with a smirk. The two of them left the house. Even if they asked me to take care of it, there was nothing I could do. I started working part-time at the local grocery store. Every day was a struggle with the new job, but I was desperate to manage both living expenses and the support for my son and his wife. And finally, by adding my own earnings, I managed to cover both living and support costs. Yet, as John regularly went out for drinks, claiming it was for networking, and returned home late, my stress built up. Life would be so much easier with that money. Saying so only led to a fight. I had no choice but to persevere without relying on John. 6 months later, I unexpectedly ran into Kevin's childhood friend, Samantha, at work. Mary, long time no see. Oh, Samantha, how have you been? As we exchanged greetings, Samantha smiled kindly. By the way, Kevin's doing really well. Did he get a job at a great company? Kevin, he's working for a local company. Just a regular guy, really. I thought he was making good money since he's been on a lot of vacations abroad lately. Vacations abroad. I looked puzzled, and Samantha pulled out her phone. Yeah, you can see here. I was so jealous of all the pictures he had been posting on social media. Samantha showed me many photos that looked like they were taken at a luxury resort hotel abroad. The buildings and scenery around them in the photos were clearly not those of the States. There were many more photos on the site, and it looked like they had been to several countries in the past few months. There was no way they had the money to travel abroad, since they were saying they were short of money because of fertility treatments. Determined to find out the truth, I headed to my son and his wife's home. This social media account is yours, right? Why have you been traveling abroad? Where did the money come from? My son and his wife looked at each other uncomfortably. We just got lucky. We entered a sweepstake. Never thought we'd actually win. Yes, Ava is just really lucky. Really, isn't it strange to win so often? Not at all. It's really just luck. My son and his wife were clearly flustered. I couldn't help but think, are they just fooling around with the monthly support money? I see. How's the fertility treatment going? Oh, it's going well. Of course, we really appreciate the help. Which clinic are you going to? It's the fertility clinic a little farther away, right? When I asked about the treatment, they fumbled and didn't provide any details. Normally, insurance would have covered some level of infertility treatment. Yet, do they really need $1,500 every month for that? I can't imagine what kind of treatments would cost that much. My doubts about my son and his wife only deepened. About a year later, my son and his wife finally had their first child. It was a beautiful baby girl, and both John and I were thrilled. However, John was too busy with work to visit the hospital, so I went to visit them alone and gave them a gift on the birth of their baby girl. I had to think about what we were giving them all by myself, and after much thought, I decided to give them a gift card. Considering the expenses they would face, a gift card would be practical. At the hospital, my son happily held the baby. Kevin, Ava, congratulations. Here's a little baby gift for all of you. Thank you. Is this a gift card? That really helps. How much is it for? It's $3,000. You can use some of it for your baby. $3,000. When I mentioned the amount, their faces fell. Is something wrong? No, it's nothing. The sudden coldness in my son and his wife's attitude was puzzling, but I had to head to my part-time job now. I wondered if I had somehow offended them as I left, feeling uneasy. When I got home, surprisingly, John was already there, and he started yelling right away. Hey, I thought you went to see the baby today and gave them a baby gift. Yes, I did. Don't lie. I couldn't understand why John was so furious, and as he continued, his face turned red with anger. I just got a call from Kevin. I heard that you didn't give him a baby gift, and you didn't send him money every month as well. You've been doing whatever you wanted with the money I've been giving you. What are you talking about? I gave the gift and sent money to them. I'm disappointed in you, stealing our son's money. He was crying that they felt uncertainty because they couldn't get the fertility treatments. Aren't you ashamed as a parent? You know what? I did send the money. No matter what I said, John wouldn't believe me and just sighed. Listen, I'm not giving you any more money for living expenses, but if you bring the gift money to Kevin properly, I'll forgive you from your own hard-earned money. You understand? John's words cooled my head instantly. Why does he only believe Kevin's side of the story? He was convinced that he was right, talking down to me. I was fed up with John's arrogance, and I wanted nothing to do with my son and his wife, who so easily lied and tried to belittle me. I stood up resolute. Understood. I'll leave. What? You're leaving? Yes, I don't need your forgiveness. John was trembling as he spoke. Do you even know what you're saying? I might as well divorce you. Okay, let's divorce then. Grateful that John was willing to grant a divorce, I left the house 2 weeks after moving out. John was calling me every few minutes after work. I was about to block his number when he called again, and I accidentally pressed the answer button. Hello, do you need something? Please communicate through a lawyer about the divorce. Wait, it's not about that, Mary. Please, let's have a talk. What are we talking about? I don't want to. As I was about to hang up, fearing that things would get complicated, John, sounding frantic, spoke from the other end. Listen, I just got all these bills today for gas and other things, and I can't pay them. I didn't expect them to be so high. Is that so? That's tough. Don't be so cold. You wouldn't think just gas, electricity, and water could cost over $300, would you? I've already spent all my salary and savings this month. I was speechless, appalled. Utility bills over $300 were not very unusual. It was a good-sized house there, and if he lived without thinking anything, it was only natural that it would exceed that much. Besides, he was the kind of person who would leave the water running when I told him to save it. The bills were bound to keep increasing. I didn't expect it this expensive, he said. I said it was a rip-off at work, and everyone laughed, saying it was normal. And I still have to make loan repayments. How have you managed all this time? That's why I was working. I was the one covering the shortfall. You were doing that for me. I had told Jan about my part-time job, but he probably thought I was just earning money for my own spending. If only you had told me. I did tell you. You just wouldn't listen. I don't want anything to do with you anymore, so stop contacting me." I tried to hang up, not wanting to hear John's voice any longer, but he desperately tried to keep me on the line. "Wait, I'll listen this time. I want to meet and talk face to face. Can we talk at home?" "No, thank you." "Don't say that. I am sorry." I should have listened more to what you had to say, and about Kevin's baby gift, too. "I want to talk with you and them together." "No, I'm fine. I'm too tired to go all the way to your house after work," I said, relaxing my tired shoulders. I went out through the employee exit, thinking I'd had enough and wanted to go home. But to my surprise, John was standing there. "I thought you'd say that, so I came to pick you up from work," John said. I sighed at John's words. Now that he's here, I couldn't refuse to go home with him. I steeled myself and got into the car. When we arrived, my son and his wife were there, looking solemn. "Hey, Mom, long time no see," Kevin greeted. I ignored Kevin's greeting and sat down. "So what's this meeting about? I'd like to get back home soon." "Don't be like that. I wanted to talk about the support money for Kevin and Ava." "Mary, you said you sent it, right?" "Yes, I definitely sent it," I replied. At that, my son and his wife raised their voices. "No, that's a lie. We really haven't received anything." "Can you still say that after seeing this?" I took out copies of the bank statement from my bag and showed them. It was firmly stated there that the money was wired to Kevin's account. "Oh no, this is—" Kevin began. Ignoring Kevin's stammering, I took an envelope out of my bag. Inside, there was a detailed record of my son and his wife's activities over the past 6 months. "Kevin and Ava, you guys have been on numerous vacations abroad, right? And you didn't get any fertility treatments at all, did you? Just wanted money to have fun anyway." "What is this?" Kevin's face paled. "Here's an investigative report from the detective agency. You have traveled abroad 4 times in the last 6 months." Across from them, John's face was turning red. "You deceived me." "Shame on you for deceiving your own parents. Give us back the baby gift we gave you." "We don't have that money anymore. We had no choice. We were short on cash," Kevin admitted. Realizing there was no excuse for their actions, Kevin began to talk back. "We just overspent and were struggling with the repayments. And yet, the baby gift was only $3,000. I thought I could get a little more if I pretended that Mom didn't give it to me because it wasn't enough. I can't believe you would even lie to get money from us. I will not have anything to do with you guys from now on. Don't contact me at all. It's just a little lie. It's not a big deal among family." I was stunned by Kevin's justification. Did they not know that if he lied and got money from us, even if we were his family, it would be an act of fraud? "We're facing tough times ahead. We want to build a house. We are family, so you should forgive this much." "No way, you are disowned," I declared. "Wait, please. It's true that Kevin did something wrong. I'll talk sternly to him. Please forgive us." Ava spoke up, to which Kevin turned on her. "Why is it all my fault? It was your idea in the first place. Don't make things up. You were the one who said if we say we need money for fertility treatments, they'll give it to us," Kevin argued. As they began to argue, John clenched his fists in anger. "Enough. Both of you are to blame. Never come to see us." John was visibly furious, his legs shaking with irritation. They must have been expecting to continue receiving financial support. The son and his wife had to look down silently and disappointedly. "I was wrong. I should have believed you. I apologize. Can we start over?" John then turned to me and apologized. I had never received an apology from John throughout our marriage. Perhaps the old me would have forgiven him just for the apology, but now my love for John was gone. No amount of apologies would change my mind. I've already filed for divorce, so we're strangers now. Don't say that. It's been hard managing the household chores since you left. Look at this mess. Isn't it terrible? Indeed, the kitchen was littered with trash, plastic bottles scattered on the floor, drugstore bags strewn everywhere. A stark contrast to how it was when I was around. And you want to drag me back to take care of the house. I'm not a maid. Of course not, but I can't manage without you, Mary. All I could do was sigh at John for being so selfish. It seems I had always been just a convenient housekeeper to him. I can live without you. In fact, I can manage better on my own, I said confidently. But if you're only working part-time, the income isn't that great, right? You might struggle, he replied, concerned. Living alone is far easier, actually. I don't need to pay rent since I live in my parents' home. Unfortunately, there's no benefit for me to continue living with you. So I'm leaving, I explained, making my stance clear as I stood up. John grabbed my arm. Wait, I'm really in a tough spot. The gas and water have been shut off. I can't make it on my own. Why are you out of money? What did you spend it on since you left? I thought $500 was enough for living expenses, so I spent the rest on horse racing, John admitted, hanging his head in shame. I was utterly dismayed. This was the result of doing whatever he wanted, because he thought he would be able to save money on food and other living expenses with me gone. I have no obligation to help him. If it's really that tough, why don't you ask your own son for help? I suggested, feeling that it was pointless to stay involved with these people. I left the house while they were still arguing, blocking their calls and cutting ties completely. Later, I heard that John, having had his utilities cut off and unable to manage on his own, moved in with Kevin's family. He must have realized that he could not live on his own after all. Even though he had made so much fuss about disowning his son, he now relied on him for financial support. But it was too late. I was glad I divorced him before his gambling addiction worsened. Life is still long, and I want to enjoy it to the fullest.